These are two entertainment legends whose most unforgettable moment together happened 16 years before Johnny Carson's final bow.
You know, I said, my God, that's Frank Sinatra for $320. How would you like it, Frank? Large bills?
Dimes.
Dimes?
And it involved Don Rickles turning television history into comedy gold. Frank Sinatra's last memorable appearance on The Tonight Show wasn't during Carson's tearful farewell in 1992, but during a magical November night in 1976 that nobody saw coming.
You'll say more than that.
Picture this, November 12th, 1976. Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board himself, sits across from Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show stage at NBC Burbank Studios. He's just finished performing My Way and New York, New York, with that unmistakable Sinatra swagger.
Songs of love and special things.
The audience is still buzzing from hearing Old Blue Eyes croon those classics live. Carson, who had replaced Jack Paar in 1962 and perfected the late-night format, settles into what should be a standard celebrity interview. But tonight, the universe has other plans. What happened next became one of the most legendary moments in Tonight Show history. Spontaneous television magic that perfectly captured the friendship, humor, and sheer entertainment value that made these men icons. And it all started with a story about a restaurant, a practical joke, and the most perfectly timed surprise guest appearance in late-night television history.
Dinner in a restaurant in New York, and sitting with some friends, and he came over to the table.
Frank Sinatra didn't give many interviews. By 1976, he'd already become a global superstar who'd sold over 150 million records worldwide through Capitol Records, and later, his own Reprise Records label. He had 59 studio albums under his belt and hundreds of singles. The man simply didn't need the publicity, and he certainly didn't welcome intrusive questions about his personal life. When Sinatra agreed to appear on Carson's show, it was because of mutual respect between two entertainment giants who understood the business like few others. Johnny Carson, the undisputed king of late night, had been hosting The Tonight Show for 14 years by this point. He'd already conducted thousands of interviews and had developed that perfect balance of reverence and playfulness that made even the biggest stars feel comfortable on his stage.
You have a tendency to make the papers frequently, Frank.
Oh, I've been known to get my name in a few stories here.
When Sinatra sat down that November evening, Carson knew he was in the presence of entertainment royalty, a man who had risen from his early days with Tommy Dorsey's orchestra to become America's greatest vocalist.
Order anything you see.
The conversation began typically enough. Carson, with his characteristic wit and timing, drew out stories from Sinatra about his career, his music, his legendary status in American culture.
Gives you dimes.
Everybody.
That's an old joke.
Yes.
How you feeling?
I couldn't.
The audience hung on every word. After all, this was Frank Sinatra, the voice that had soundtracked America for decades alongside his Rat Pack associates Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. But then Sinatra began telling a story that would set up one of the greatest moments in television history. He started recounting a hilarious prank that had been pulled on him by none other than comedian Don Rickles. Now, Rickles was already well known to Tonight Show audiences. He'd appeared on Carson's program over 100 times by then. The man known as Mr. Warmth and the Merchant of Venom had built his entire career on insulting people and somehow making them love him for it. But his relationship with Sinatra was special, and the story Frank was about to tell perfectly illustrated why. But Carson had been planning something special for this appearance. Throughout their friendship, Rickles had been telling Carson stories about his relationship with Sinatra, and Carson had always wondered if these tales were true.
Listen, can I tell a story about what this man did to me once? You may have known or heard about this. It was a true story.
Were Rickles and Sinatra really as close as the comedian claimed? Was their friendship genuine? Or was it just another one of Rickles' elaborate stories designed to get laughs?
This man here has the distinction of being the only man alive who ever ate a dry olive.
Sinatra finished his restaurant story. Something magical happened. Don Rickles himself walked onto the stage, seemingly out of nowhere. The surprise was so complete, so perfectly timed, that both the audience and Sinatra were momentarily stunned. Here was the man they'd just been talking about, appearing as if summoned by the sheer force of the story itself. Rickles, never missing a beat, claimed he'd been in the hallway and simply couldn't resist the opportunity to join his friend.
Hanging around in the hall, and they said, Frank Sinatra's here. I've never met him, you know. Marco Mangananzo was hurt.
Marco Mangananzo?
Fambino Bombazzo.
What followed was pure television gold, an unrehearsed, spontaneous moment between three masters of their craft that showcased the genuine warmth and humor that existed behind the scenes of show business. The beautiful thing about this surprise was how it revealed the real relationship between Sinatra and Rickles. In an era when many celebrity friendships were manufactured for publicity, theirs was absolutely authentic.
Hey, Frank, it's good to see you.
Sinatra, whose pet name for Rickles was Bullethead, genuinely enjoyed the comedian's company. He'd even encouraged other celebrities to see Rickles act and let themselves be insulted by him. What made this moment even more remarkable was how Rickles handled himself around Sinatra.
I'm a Jew and you're an Italian. And this is a great Irishman. This is America. Honey Carson kept saying, do you really know Frank? I worship you and I love you. I really mean blowing girls' ears and here you go. And do it my way.
This was a man who typically showed deference to no one, whose entire act was built on fearlessly roasting whoever happened to be in his crosshairs. Yet with Sinatra, there was clearly genuine affection and respect. Rickles began speaking in faux Italian, making mafia jokes, exactly the kind of material that Sinatra usually did not take lightly, given the persistent rumors about his alleged mob connections. But instead of tension, there was laughter. Instead of offense, there was embrace. Rickles even got away with grabbing Sinatra by the face and giving him a big kiss on the lips. A moment that perfectly captured their unusual but genuine friendship. The audience could see that this wasn't an act or a publicity stunt. This was real friendship, real affection, playing out in front of their eyes. Carson, meanwhile, was in his element.
Boy, the budget's big tonight, but you got the boss here. And to me,
He'd orchestrated this surprise perfectly, and now he was watching two of his favorite guests create television magic. The host's ability to set up moments like this, to bring together the right people at the right time and then get out of the way, was part of what made him so special.
I know you
Can I
got.
do my song now?
I know you got to cut because you got.
go ahead, Frank. I'll lead you, Frank, to your song. Come on.
He understood that sometimes the best television happened when you simply let genuine personalities interact naturally. The chemistry between all three men was electric. Here were three giants of entertainment. Sinatra with his legendary voice and magnetic presence, Rickles with his fearless comedy and surprising warmth, and Carson with his perfect timing and ability to facilitate great moments. Each brought their unique strengths to create something that was greater than the sum of its parts. This appearance also highlighted something important about the era of entertainment these men represented. This was television from a time when spontaneity was not only possible, but celebrated. There weren't massive production teams, carefully scripted interactions, or social media managers hovering in the wings. Just three professionals who understood entertainment at its core, creating a moment that felt both intimate and spectacular. The November 1976 appearance became so legendary that it overshadowed even Sinatra's other notable Tonight Show moment, when he served as guest host on November 14, 1977. That evening, a tuxedo-clad Ed McMahon announced, "And now, here's Old Blue Eyes," and Sinatra emerged in his own tuxedo to thunderous applause. The NBC orchestra under Doc Severinsen were all dressed in tuxedos for the occasion. Sinatra offered the audience a jaunty, "Hiya, gang," and began to launch into "Maybe This Time." But the applause only grew louder. As a host, Sinatra revealed a different side of himself. Here was a man known for his sometimes volatile temper and fierce privacy, showing genuine curiosity about his guests and asking thoughtful questions. It was fascinating to see someone who rarely gave interviews taking on the role of interviewer, and by all accounts, he was surprisingly good at it. But it was that November 1976 moment with Rickles that truly captured lightning in a bottle. The surprise, the spontaneity, the genuine affection between friends. It represented everything that made The Tonight Show special during Carson's era. It was unscripted human connection happening in real time, shared with millions of viewers who felt like they were witnessing something truly special. The friendship between Sinatra and Rickles extended far beyond that television appearance. Sinatra threw wedding anniversary parties for Don and his wife. When Sinatra was asked to organize Ronald Reagan's second presidential inaugural celebration in 1985, he insisted that Rickles be allowed to perform and do it unrehearsed. Rickles later called this performance the high point of his career. There were even stories, though never confirmed, that their friendship had more serious implications. According to some accounts, Sinatra once intervened to save Johnny Carson's life from a potential mob hit in the early 1970s after Carson had somehow offended a dangerous figure in organized crime. Whether true or not, these stories spoke to the respect and influence that Sinatra commanded and the loyalty he showed to his friends. The November 1976 Tonight Show appearance also captured these men at interesting points in their careers. Sinatra was in the middle of his comeback from a brief retirement. He'd announced his retirement in 1971 following the release of My Way, but came out of it in 1973 with a television special and album. By 1976, he was touring extensively again and proving that reports of his career's demise had been greatly exaggerated. Carson was at the height of his powers, commanding late-night television with an authority that would never be matched. He'd already established himself as the definitive late-night host, the man who could make or break careers with his approval or dismissal. When Carson laughed at your jokes or invited you to the couch, it meant something significant in the entertainment world. Rickles was also hitting his stride, having found the perfect balance between his aggressive comedy style and genuine likability. His frequent appearances on Carson's show and the Dean Martin Celebrity Roast had made him a household name, and his friendship with Sinatra had given him credibility and acceptance that might have seemed impossible for someone whose act was built on insults. What's remarkable about rewatching that November 1976 appearance today is how fresh it still feels. The laughter is genuine, the surprise still works, and the chemistry between the three men remains electric. In an era of heavily produced television where every moment is planned and focus grouped, there's something magical about watching three masters of their craft simply being themselves. The appearance also serves as a perfect time capsule of 1970s entertainment culture. This was the era of the Rat Pack, of Vegas showrooms, of an entertainment industry that was smaller and more interconnected than today's sprawling media landscape. Everyone knew everyone else, and relationships between stars often spanned decades and multiple projects. By the time Johnny Carson actually retired in May 1992, the entertainment landscape had changed dramatically. MTV had altered the music industry. Cable television was fragmenting audiences, and the internet was beginning to emerge as a cultural force. The intimate, clubby atmosphere of Carson's Tonight Show was becoming a relic of a different era. Carson's actual final shows were quite different from that spontaneous 1976 evening. His penultimate show on May 21, 1992, featured Robin Williams and Bette Midler, with Midler reducing Carson to tears by singing the Frank Sinatra standard, "One for My Baby" and "One More for the Road." His final show on May 22 had no guests at all, just Carson himself, reflecting on his career before an invitation-only audience of family, friends, and crew. But for those who remember the magic of Carson's Tonight Show at its peak, the November 1976 appearance with Sinatra and Rickles represents everything that made the show special. It was unpredictable, genuine, and showcased the kind of chemistry between performers that simply can't be manufactured. Today, classic episodes of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson are available on streaming services, allowing new generations to discover these magical moments. The November 12, 1976 episode with Sinatra, Rickles, and Olivia Newton-John can be found on the Internet Archive, preserved for posterity as a perfect example of television at its most spontaneous and entertaining. When we talk about Frank Sinatra's last memorable appearance on Carson's stage, we're really talking about that November night in 1976 when three legends created television magic through nothing more than friendship, timing, and the kind of spontaneous chemistry that made late-night television appointment viewing for millions of Americans. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't planned, and it certainly wasn't expected, but it was absolutely perfect.